It's even more important now that Elizabeth leaves Yellowstone in 1923 Season 2. Despite Elizabeth Strafford, Michelle Randolph, and Jack Dutton, Darren Mann, reconciling in 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, it's more important than ever that Elizabeth leaves the Yellowstone Ranch. In Journey the Rivers of Iron, Elizabeth is convinced of her plan to leave the Dutton family and their Yellowstone ranch behind her for good. Jack's wife is more determined than ever that ranch life isn't for her after a wolf bites Elizabeth's leg in 1923 Season 2, Episode 2, leading to rabies shots in her stomach. However, Journey the Rivers of Iron may have changed her trajectory. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, Elizabeth discovers that she's pregnant. While it starts as another miserable day for Bob Strafford's daughter, Elizabeth gets a pep talk from Jacob Dutton, Harrison Ford, which gives the 1923 character the gumption to give herself a rabies shot rather than screaming and thrashing at those who administer it. Elizabeth's brave actions lead to a shocking revelation when Dr. Miller Martineri comes to check on her after a spike in stomach pain, revealing that she's pregnant. However, despite her pregnancy, danger and misfortune orbit Elizabeth and the Dutton Ranch. The war against the Dutton family is still quietly being waged from Donald Whitfield's Timothy Dalton mansion. Elizabeth's stay of the Yellowstone Ranch puts her directly in the line of fire in the war banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn, plans to enact against the Yellowstone and its stewards. Terrible things happened to Elizabeth Strafford in 1923, with Jack's wife getting shot once already over the fight for the ranch. Ultimately, regardless of her reason, Elizabeth's instinct to leave the Dutton Ranch due to the perilous nature of the winter could have been a life-saving one, and she should trust it. Elizabeth planned to take a train to Boston in about a week. Bob Strafford's daughter is quite familiar with the city, having spent her previous winters there rather than back home on her father's ranch, which sat adjacent to the Yellowstone. 1923 Season 2, Episode 4 teased Elizabeth might flee the ranch and return later, as indicated in her conversation with Jack's uncle, Jacob, wherein Ford's character tells her to reconsider wholly abandoning her family. Now, Elizabeth's baby underscores that Jack's wife isn't safe at the ranch. Still, the unexpected news could cause Elizabeth to stay. There's a chance Elizabeth is carrying John Dutton too, in which case we know her baby survives, perhaps indicating that Elizabeth flees the impending danger inflicted on her new family. John Dutton, Dabney Coleman, is a character introduced in Yellowstone Season 2, Episode 7, in a flashback to John Dutton IE's, Kevin Costner, final moments with his father. John Dutton II and IUI are fourth and fifth generation ranchers, respectively, but Yellowstone screenwriter Taylor Sheridan has yet to reveal how John IUI and his father relate to the earlier generations of the Dutton family tree. Namely, we don't know John Hugh's parents. 1923 Season 2 is poised to give fans the answer to one of the biggest Yellowstone mysteries. Whoever gave birth to John Doe can claim to be John Dutton IE's grandmother, and Beth Kelly Riley, and Case's, Luke Grimes' great-great-grandmother. It looks to be that either Spencer or Jack's heritage will eventually lead to John Dutton. However, due to their different generations in the family tree, Spencer's child would have to parent John too, whereas Jack could be John Hugh's father. We know that John Dutton II is a fifth-generation rancher, and the Yellowstone lore must make that add up. While 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, continues setting up Elizabeth Strafford's exit from the Yellowstone Ranch, it doesn't mean that Michelle Randolph is exiting 1923 for good. Randolph is a staple of the 1923 cast from both seasons, and we know that she will ultimately partake in the war for the ranch. In a trailer for 1923 Season 2, Images show Elizabeth Strafford huddled within the Dutton family's lodge holding a rifle. The brief slices of scenes suggest that Jack's wife indeed gets caught up in the fight, although it could be after she returns from Boston. There's no mention of Michelle Randolph leaving 1923, so we can be sure Elizabeth will continue to orbit the story. Based on her conversation with Jacob, it's likely Elizabeth will take a break from the ranch, possibly returning when things are heated. While Jack's wife has faltered in her commitment to being with her husband, Elizabeth has a good reason to flee the Yellowstone with a new baby on the way. After episode 4, it's possible that Elizabeth will compromise, staying at the ranch for now with the promise that Jack will follow her to Boston, if they both survive. Elizabeth Strafford's departure from 1923 Season 2 marks a seismic shift in the future of the Dutton family. The young bride, once poised to become the mother of the next generation of ranchers, represented a critical link between past and future. Without her, the Dutton legacy faces uncertainty, heartbreak, and the looming specter of change. What does her exit mean for the fate of Yellowstone? And why is it more important now than ever? A love story cut short. Elizabeth's love for Jack Dutton had all the makings of a classic Western romance. She embodied the delicate balance between the refined East and the rugged frontier, proving that she could adapt to the harsh realities of ranch life. From the moment she chose to remain with Jack, she demonstrated resilience and devotion, even after experiencing devastating loss. Her miscarriage in Season 1 was a painful blow, one that called into question her ability to provide an heir to the Dutton lineage. Had Elizabeth stayed, she would have been the mother to the next generation, ensuring that the Yellowstone legacy carried on through Jack's bloodline. But with her departure, the Duttons lose more than just a potential matriarch. They lose stability, the promise of continuity, and the emotional anchor that Jack desperately needed. The future of the Dutton bloodline is in jeopardy. With Elizabeth out of the picture, Jack's future as the bearer of the Dutton legacy is thrown into uncertainty. If he does not remarry and produce an heir, then the line that was supposed to carry Yellowstone into the future could end with him. The very survival of the ranch depends on strong Dutton descendants willing to fight for the land. And without Elizabeth, that future is murkier than ever. Spencer, John Dutton Sr.'s brother, remains a wild card. His adventures in Africa, his rocky relationship with Alexandra, and his tenuous connection to Yellowstone make him an unreliable candidate to take over. Elizabeth was supposed to be the woman who secured the next chapter of the family's story, and now, with her absence, a major void remains. Jack Dutton will be forever changed. Jack's heartache will be central to 1923 Season 2. The young cowboy was utterly devoted to Elizabeth, and her exit is sure to send him down a darker, more uncertain path. Will he be hardened by grief? Will he seek solace in revenge, in reckless behavior, or in the arms of another woman? Without Elizabeth by his side, the cheerful and passionate young man fans met in Season 1 may disappear, replaced by someone colder, angrier, and more desperate to hold on to the land at all costs. Without the stabilizing force of Elizabeth, Jack could become an early version of the hardened Dutton men seen in Yellowstone. Men like John Dutton IE, who prioritized the land above all else. He may become ruthless, learning that love is fleeting, but the ranch must always come first. Cara Dutton's burden grows heavier. Cara Dutton has already lost more than her fair share. As the matriarch of the family, she has done everything in her power to hold the Duttons together. Elizabeth was supposed to be a beacon of hope. A young woman Cara could groom into her successor, ensuring that when she was gone, someone else could take over the responsibility of keeping the family strong. Now that vision is gone. Cara must carry an even greater burden, navigating the challenges of ranch life without Elizabeth's presence to soften the edges. With Jacob Dutton aging and Spencer's fate uncertain, Kara's role as the glue of the family becomes even more vital. Enemies will seize the opportunity. The Duttons have never been short on enemies, and Elizabeth's absence will only make them more vulnerable. If Jack is distracted by grief and the family is thrown into even greater turmoil, the people who seek to take Yellowstone for themselves, whether it be Banner Creighton, Donald Whitfield, or even future political forces, will be waiting to pounce. Elizabeth represented stability, a reason for Jack to fight for the ranch with optimism and a sense of purpose beyond mere survival. Without her, the Duttons' grasp on their land may weaken just enough for their enemies to strike at their most vulnerable moment. The Duttons must adapt to survive. Elizabeth's departure from 1923 Season 2 forces the Duttons to reassess everything. Who will take up the mantle of securing the next generation? Will Jack find another love, or will he close himself off entirely? Will Kara be able to hold the family together in the face of yet another loss? This moment in the Dutton timeline is critical. It could be the point where the family begins to lose control of their destiny, or it could be the moment they find new strength in unexpected places. Either way, Elizabeth's absence will be felt far beyond Season 2. It will shape the future of the Yellowstone Ranch for generations to come.